Yeah. So there's that. Leaving off when I was 17, Black Magic and all that other stuff. So after that, pretty much, I really didn't get really into it until I was 19. And this is the part where it gets dark. Oh, also, when I was like I was like, I forgot what age between 17 and 19, but eventually, I'd stopped gang banging, cut ties with the people, and I moved to a different school. Stopped selling drugs, um, but fully gave my life over to God, obviously. But between 17 and 19, I end up meeting this chick who I no longer talk to. I cut her off when I was like 19 or 20 or whatever the case was. Um, she was real spiritual, whatever the case may be. We had a long conversation, and I remember talking to her one day at the park because one of my friends introduced me to her, and we had a long conversation and whatnot. And I remember I basically made the wind stop when I mentioned in one phrase like "fuck God," "fuck Satan," and "fuck death." And basically, it was windy. Then all of a sudden, the wind stopped. That same person, when I met, going on to basically 19 years old, um, I ended up getting into a cult with that person. Basically, me and this person, basically, from 19 and up, as an adult, and this lasted for like maybe like 2 years, so up until I was like 21. Basically, we would hold hands and we basically transfer our energy to each other. I would. That's when I started getting into like a lot of new age stuff. I started. I started basically. Met a witch. Basically, her spirit guide was basically a demon, a dragon, whose name was Pythia, which you can actually look that up. It's a dragon. Um, she could speak to spirits, talk to spirits, and she could. I remember literally um, holding her hand, and we literally were all holding each other's hands, and we were sitting on the ground, and she literally would hold my hand while her hand was on the ground, while we're sitting down on the ground, and she would basically channel the energy up from the ground, and she would tell me what my past life was. And I started getting into like past lives and stuff between the ages of 17 and 19. And I forgot, when did I create Instagram? Between 18 and 19, whatever the case may be. And basically, that's how I end up getting to the new age stuff. She started telling me about my past life. She told me I came from Lumeria, which is the opposite of Atlantis, which is true, which is the opposite of Atlantis. Um, Told me about my past life was basically from the Mayans, or a Mayan past life, and a lot in Egypt. And so basically, once I met that person, I started basically dabbling. Even I was a dabbler, a dabbler. Um, Started doing chakra stones. I would practice astral projection. I basically would buy chakra stones from the store, basically, put them on my body because I thought that they would heal me. That's a complete lie. Now that I know that, they were just cool looking. But that and so that would happen just through meeting this person. That would happen. I would obviously practice astral projection, leaving my body. I would practice that a couple of times. I also do meditation. I would also try and get in touch with spirit guides, which are demons. Thank God that didn't go through. And then sometime between 17 and 19 years old, I basically said something, called upon something. I'm not going to say it. Asher Guide, or whatever the case is. You can look it up. ER. And basically, once I said that, I went to sleep and I saw myself in a dark dimension, a place of nothing, of nothingness and void. It was a place of nightmares. My earliest dream from when I was a kid basically involved a snake coming out of a TV, and I woke up in sweats, sleeping next to my brother at my grandma's house, and it was this place that basically was just all pitch black, like from Stranger Things or The Sunken Place, basically. And I distinctively remember a raven croaking in the background, and I couldn't see this raven, and I saw a white, majestic owl, and I saw it. It was like I was dead. I left my body, and it was basically a barn owl. Didn't know what that was when I was that young, but it was a barn owl. And I remember me being surrounded by this white light, which basically was God, protecting me basically. And I remember floating, and all I remember was seeing cherubs around me singing, "Holy, holy is the Lord's name, God Almighty, He who is and will always be." However that Bible verse goes, they were singing that around me, and I remember that distinctively. And that's when that happened. And then gradually, as I got out of high school, I started getting into it even more. That's when I started buying chakra stones. I'm going like everywhere. That's when I started buying chakra stones. That's when I started meditating. That's when I would meditate in the shower. I would meditate in my room. I would basically, the apartment I stayed at, basically, I would go in the woods and meditate. And the woods where we were at, fun fact, it was right next to a QT gas station. And next to that gas station was a house that they tore down in order to build another complex. And a Satanist stayed in that house, and it was taken down, but he had pictures of children, all types of stuff. My friends went in it years before I met them. And basically that happened. And then I would go there, and basically I would be in the woods, and basically I would make green fire, like fire is naturally like red or whatever the case is. I'll basically make green fire. And that sounds impossible, but it's not. And so I would do that a couple times. And then basically in total, I stopped when I was 21. I basically, up until the age until I was 21, I basically performed 100 or 200 rituals through the people I met, through past lives or whatever the case may be. And I'd meet these people. I'm like going everywhere. So there's that. And then I was 19. I also wanted to mention that when I was 17, I met a chick who I still talk to. She's like happy, has a kid or whatever the case may be. She was a witch. She was a Wiccan. I don't know if she is now, but she was the first person I ever kissed. So the first person I ever kissed in my life was a witch, basically. So that just wanted to put that out there. And then what else was there? Consistently on a day-to-day basis, I would continuously dabble in witchcraft and the occult, basically, through astral projection. That was one thing that I always wanted to do. I talked about in one of my videos about dreams, astral sex. I would leave my body and I would have sex with whomever or whatever in the astral realm, and it'll always be a female. So I basically lost my virginity when I was like 19 because I desperately wanted to lose my virginity. So I lost my virginity in the astral realm, and then physically, I also lost my virginity to a succubus. I would talk about how I would practice astral projection, but astral projection will lead me into basically being motionless and still and paralyzed, like sleep paralysis. And through that, basically, I lost my virginity to a succubus, and I wanted it. I actually wanted it. I wanted to mate with somebody. And that's actually a thing. It's called spectrophilia. Not necrophilia. Spectrophilia basically is when people have sex with ghosts or spirits. And I was doing that on a day-to-day basis. And while that happened, I was having sex about practically almost damn near every single day. That would happen. And obviously leaving my body. Um, it felt amazing. It felt better than actual sex. And if you have sex with the right person, it's amazing. Felt way better, way better than that. And but while I was doing all these things, I was getting raped every day. Basically, I was getting raped every day. I would wake up every day, basically a demon or a spirit, whatever the case may be, would come and basically rape me, and couldn't really do anything about that until basically I moved out of my house, moved out of the apartment complex because I was in, because I didn't find out till I was like 19 or older that the entire apartment complex was haunted. So really, that's a territory thing. Really wasn't something I could even do anything about. So that didn't stop until I moved into this house that I'm in now with my mom, which thank God isn't haunted. Um, but that, and then what else was there? Man, a lot of it, a lot of the stuff is written in my book. I'm just telling you stuff that's already in my book, but stuff I haven't even written. And then eventually, just doing this stuff in my adulthood, I almost got possessed. And to even get further into that, I'm going to pause this video real quick. Oh my gosh, I wasn't even recording. But basically, I saw. I don't know if you can see this or not, but in my book, I almost ended up getting possessed by a spirit, demon, basically, and that happened almost 3 times. And I had sleep paralysis. I couldn't do anything about it, and so eventually, it just didn't happen. Um, Obviously, because I was protected by God. And then that happened, and I want to pause this video again because I gotta get another picture. And then eventually, I actually saw this. I'm like going everywhere, but I just wanted to put this out here. I didn't write this down. I wanted to finish this because my mom was supposed to be coming home. So there's that. And then there's also the fact of basically that happened. And then I kept going to the sunken place, I guess just call it that. Basically as an adult. And eventually I'll constantly see demons in the form of dragons. It would always be the Hydra, or it would always be a 3-headed dragon. And eventually I didn't stop doing that. I didn't stop doing any of this stuff until I was 21. And the last time this happened twice. I actually saw this dragon. This is also something I looked up. There's a story about this dragon. This is why I actually have this autograph. While I was doing whatever, when I hold on real quick. Yeah. Hold on. Let me just do whatever. But that, and what else was it? Mother of God. I'm thinking because this is like all this stuff is. I had so much spiritual trauma. It was ridiculous. But basically, I would see the Hydra about like twice, and the Hydra from mythology twice, and every time I saw it, this white dragon would pop up. And the first time it happened, I was panicking. Was in that sunken place and didn't know what to do. I was panicking at the top of my mind, saying, "It's the Hydra! It's the Hydra!" And then randomly, just when it was about to devour me, this white dragon comes out of nowhere, surrounded by white light. And basically, it's God. Like literally, like I'm not even joking. It's God. God takes on different forms, but I'm literally in the spiritual world, and I'm hopeless and unprotected. And I remember seeing that as broad as day. And then the second time was when that was happening again, but it felt it felt like a fever dream, but it wasn't. I was like on God's back, and all the Hydra did was sniff me, and I remember the nose of a dragon growling and sniffing at the fact that it couldn't eat me. It couldn't have me. Basically, it couldn't kill me, and basically, it that's God claiming me as His territory. And it wasn't until somewhere around 19 where I went to the convention in Atlanta called MomoCon. And I went to the art gallery where the artists are. And I met the artist. I met the artist who drew this picture. And this guy literally drew the picture that I've been holding up in my video. And I was talking to the guy. I was like, what? I was like, what? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, are you serious? And that's the guy was the artist. And the guy literally um, told me that he came all the way from Europe to basically promote his artwork. In which case, I don't believe in coincidences like that. And so this guy comes all the way from Europe to basically America, and he basically that's how I ended up meeting him. And so that happened, and then I stopped doing witchcraft when I was about 20 or 21. And I mentioned how in my Salem, Massachusetts video, I met the Archangel Saint, the Saint Michael. Basically, it ended basically one night when I had a dream or whatever the case was. I left my body. It was like astral projection. I just randomly left, and I was in that same place, but this time it was like a three-headed white dragon. It was talking, and basically it wrapped its neck around me, and I was going at the speed of light. I was underwater, everything, and I basically entered that dimension, whatever the case was, and basically a demon snatched me. A three-headed white dragon snatched me. It was talking to me, said, "Now I finally got you." Um, and I almost died. Since it's hard to explain, but once your astral body leaves, it's connected to your physical body, which is connected to your spirit. So my physical body looked at itself one time and it said that I'm going to die. And so I called upon the name of like my ancestors, spirit guides, all this other stuff. They didn't show up. And I was just beating on its skin. And basically, I called upon, and the last thing I called upon was Saint Michael, the Archangel Michael, Jesus. And basically, the Archangel Michael came and cut one of its heads off. The one that had me wrapped around its neck, and it basically told me to leave. And it told me that, and it said, I got this. And the angel actually spoke to me, and I was in danger. And ever since then, I quit. And the Archangel Michael looked just how he looks like in the paintings with him slaying Satan. And that's when I quit. And then when I turned 21, yeah, it was that happened. And then my story ends basically in my book, even though I'm going everywhere in my book of me basically, I was having issue. I think it was like when I was like 20 or 21, I was having issue with friends not messaging me back, wouldn't answer, wouldn't reply back, and all these other things. And basically, I was pissed. I was completely pissed, and I basically was infuriated. And basically, I had a dream one day. God basically just took me out my body, and God basically personally visited me personally. And I know because I was sitting next to a man in a white outfit. It was an old man. And basically, I was looking down at the world. The world was a globe. Don't care what you say. Don't really care how you see it in movies. And I was in heaven looking down on the earth and the clouds. And God asked me, what's wrong? Why are you so mad or angry? And I told him that, I hate people. And the one thing I said is that, I hate people, man. And I didn't even cuss at him. I just said, like, I was just so pissed and infuriated. And I said, I hate people, man. And I just cried on his lap. And he basically just looked at me and he basically listened. And that's really where my story ends. But that's where my book ends. And then, like, I ended that when I was like 20. But then when I turned 21, the devil came to me again. Well, no, the devil came to me in person after that a year later because my grandma was dying when I was 21, so I remember. Came to me when I was 21, and basically he looked exactly like the devil from the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, and the outfit and everything. There's an actor that plays him, so you can really look it up. It was Heath Ledger's last movie, and he came to me, and I was in the Imaginarium, and you'd have to know what the Imaginarium is if you watch the movie, or you could probably find clips of it. And basically, I was in it, and everything was green pastures and everything I could wish for. And he told me straight up to my face in a dream and said that I can give you all this right now. And I asked him, what was your price? And he said, I want your mom. And I said, no. And the dream ended. It wouldn't be until years later, I think till like 26, so like 2 years ago or last year. It wasn't last year. It was 2 years ago. The devil came to me again as an old man, and I explained to somebody, and he basically, I was having a dream. I was sitting down at a studio, and I was talking to some Hollywood executive or whatever the case might be, a white guy in a suit, and I was flipping through papers and whatnot, and he was very impatient, and he wanted me to sign the contract like there was a time, and basically he said, basically sign the papers. And I became conscious of what was happening. And in the contract, it said that basically he can clone me, and I already know about cloning. And I said, oh no, you are not about to clone me. Um, and so that happened in that dream, and then basically after that dream had happened, what else was there? After that dream had happened, I went on about my life. I did it God's way. I became rich, and the devil thought he owned my name or whatever the case may be. I bought it back from him, and basically the devil was broke, and the dream ended with me and my brother going about our lives, and we were happy. And the devil fell down the stairs. It like fell down these steps as an old man with a cane, and basically, oh, and the offer was. It was $25 million, and I wrote about that. It's on my business page somewhere. It was $25 million. The devil wanted my soul for $25 million. And I declined all that. And still to this day, I don't regret my decision. I would never get rid of my older brother, my oldest brother, or my mom, or anybody, even with all this stuff going on. And that's how I am. And as far as like my talents and whatnot, like I've always loved music when I was from the time I was first grade, from elementary school up until I to the age I am now. I always love listening to music. Doesn't matter what it is. I've always wanted to be a musician. I always wanted to be an author. I love poetry. Poetry is something I fell in love with, along with horror stories and comic books. And I'm a writer. I gotta go more deep into detail. I'll do a video on that like later on in my life. But like the just joy of just me listening to music, doesn't matter if it's mainstream. Now I avoid mainstream because YouTube exists. But way back then, didn't matter if it was mainstream, didn't matter if it was gospel music, whatever the case is. I love music, and it's literally written all over me. It's like if you meet me in person, it's a glow I have on my face, and have like 9 books. I'm coming out with like 3 this year, hopefully. Two of them are going to be my horror books, and then another one might be a poetry book or some superhero novel that I'm working on. But yeah, man, that's really pretty much it, and that's pretty much my testimony. Yeah, and then eventually, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, like after losing my virginity to a succubus when I was like 19. I eventually later on in my life, when I was like 22, I eventually lost my virginity to someone who was my friend. And she, well, she got the mark of the beast now, but it's like whatever. So that, and that's pretty much it. Um, yeah, and that's really pretty much it. I'm trying to think of, yeah, and just everything that they've shown in the movies. Like when I mean black magic, I didn't do Satanism. I'm not a retard. I didn't do Satanism. Basically, I was doing like higher level stuff. Stuff, the symbols you see with Doctor Strange when he puts out his hands and you see like octagons and symbols and all that other stuff. That's what I was doing. That's the advanced stuff. It actually, there's levels to it of witchcraft, and that's actually way above Satanism. So that, and that's pretty much it, really. And that's just like my spiritual testimony about who I am. I'll go deep in the detail later on another day because my phone's about to die. My mom's about to be here, all this other stuff. But yeah, and in terms of basically me being a prophet and all this other stuff, even though I don't claim the world splitting in half, wanted to mention that in another video. Like I first got the gift of prophecy when I was like 19, well, somewhere between 19 and 21. And it was when my friend was in desperate. He was going through a heartbreak and all this other stuff, but his girlfriend basically was a hoe. It was me, my friend who I talked about, who abandoned his faith. We were sitting next to each other. We were at Waffle House, and he was in front of us. And for some strange, odd reason, God picked me, even though I was cussing at the top of my lungs, being blunt and straight with him. And the Spirit of God literally just poured down on me. And I told him one day that she's going to pop up at your house. And he can tell you to this day. And she popped up at his house. And then later on, I forgot, I was talking to myself about this stuff like earlier. But later on, I told him that like if you can't break up with her or tell her whatever the case may be, she's basically going to ruin your life. And then eventually, a lot of stuff ended up happening. Some guy she showed up at his door, but then he ended up kept taking her back or not. And the only reason she kept coming back to him is because he was the only dude that could make her orgasm and squirt and do all this other stuff. And we found out later on down the road, and I was still with them down the road, that she was having sex with like 5 or 6 different dudes individually, and he was one of them. She had guys in rotation, and that happened. And then some guy had sex with this girl. They got back together, but then he and blindly ended up introducing some dude to his girl and all this other stuff. And that dude's dead now. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So I just wanted to sit here, come on here and say this. And yeah, just comment on whatever the case is. And I'll emphasize on this stuff later. And that's pretty much it. And you can get my book, The Spiritual Life of Paul Webster. You can just type it in on Amazon. There's errors and stuff, so just letting you know. That's pretty much it, and it's under my name, Paul Truther, which is PaulTruther, and that's it, really. And I'll talk about more of this stuff later, like once again. So, hope you guys have a blessed day and whatnot.